There's something we just can't seem to find anymore, isn't there? It's hard to put into words, but we all feel it. A sense of disconnection. A kind of tiredness that's not physical, but mental. We live in a time where everything is just a click away, yet we feel further from what truly matters than ever before. Our days are full, but not fruitful. We're busy, but not productive. We're informed, but rarely deep. This is where the idea of deep work comes in. It's not just a technique to get more done. It's a spiritual act of rebellion against the surface-level noise that surrounds us. It's a return to focus, to intention, to presence. It's an invitation to rediscover our ability to dive deep into something meaningful, to let go of the noise, and to listen to that fertile silence where real growth happens. Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work, isn't handing us another productivity hack. What he offers is a way of life. He tells us that in a world full of distractions, those who can focus have incredible power. Not because they become robots who crank out more work, but because they reach levels of thinking, creativity, and impact that most of the world has forgotten. In a way, it's like waking up a part of ourselves that's been asleep for a long time. Think about it for a second. How many times in the past week have you sat quietly? No notifications, no phone checking, no jumping from one thought to the next. When was the last time you fully immersed yourself in a task, an idea, a project, so deeply that you lost track of time? That state, that presence is rare these days. And it's exactly where deep work happens. Deep work isn't just sitting silently in front of a computer. It's stepping into a mental and spiritual space where your entire attention is focused on one thing. And it's in that kind of attention that we rediscover our true power. Because the human mind is extraordinary, but only when we let it operate without interruptions. It's like a river. If you let it flow, it finds its way. But if you keep diverting it, blocking it, breaking it up, it dissipates. Now, I'm not saying we need to live like monks, but maybe we could learn from them. Monks aren't disconnected from the world. They're disconnected from the noise of the world, and that's where they find truth. Similarly, those who today manage to step away from the constant digital noise and train themselves to focus deeply build something others can't even imagine. And this applies to everyone, not just scientists or writers. Are you an entrepreneur? Deep work helps you see opportunities where others only see chaos. Are you a manager? It helps you make clearer, wiser decisions. Are you a parent or just an everyday person? It gives you a calmer mind, a fuller presence, a more mindful life. It's not easy. We live in a world designed to steal our attention. Every app, every notification, every scroll is built to keep us passive and hooked. But the good news is that the ability to work deeply isn't a gift. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it can be trained with discipline, with patience, with self-respect. That's why deep work is, as Newport calls it, the super skill of the future. Because as the world gets noisier and more chaotic, those who can retreat into a space of focus, who can build complex things quietly, who can think deeply, will have a massive advantage. But above all, they will live a richer life, a more centered life, a life that's truly their own. At the end of the day, real deep work isn't just what you do with your hands or your brain. It's what you do with your soul. When you create something of value. When you learn something that changes you. When you connect to a purpose bigger than just doing. So this journey we're about to take together, exploring the principles of deep work, isn't just a productivity course. It's a path back to ourselves. To that quiet, powerful present part we left behind. But it's still there, just waiting for us to remember how to listen. Sometimes we complicate our lives by chasing 1,000 strategies to improve. We look for courses, techniques, digital tools, apps to organize our time. But often the truth is simple. Sometimes so simple it's almost disarming. At the core of the deep work concept are two fundamental rules, two simple but profound laws. If you truly understand them, and, more importantly, learn to live by them, they can completely change how you work, how you think, and maybe even how you exist in the world. The first rule is this: deep work is valuable. We live in an attention economy. Anything rare automatically becomes valuable. Now, take a moment and think, what's rarer today than true concentration? The ability to sit quietly for an hour straight, working on a tough problem without checking your phone, without opening a new browser tab, without getting lost in 1,000 distractions. Those who can do it and train themselves to do it become valuable. Newport makes it clear. Society rewards those who can do cognitively demanding work at a high level, without distractions. It's not about how busy you are. It's about how much quality and impact you produce. And deep work is the only way to get there. There are no shortcuts. Today, many confuse noise for productivity. They see emails, calls, meetings, messages, and think they're important because they're always connected, but they're not creating anything deep. They're not leaving a mark. They're just reacting to the outside world, never listening to the inner one. And here comes the second rule. Deep work is hard. Sounds obvious, right? But this is the heart of the matter. Training yourself to do deep work takes discipline. It means resisting the constant temptations around us. It means saying no to what's urgent to focus on what's important. It means creating space, even in a busy adult life, to protect moments of true immersion. Do you know why it's hard? Because the world doesn't want it. The modern world wants you to be reactive, to respond immediately, to stay on the surface. Companies build work environments that reward constant availability, not depth. Yet the spiritual truth is that nothing deep is born in a rush. Nothing beautiful is born in noise. Deep work is hard also because it goes against our distraction-trained nature. But this is training, not fate. Cal Newport says, you can change. You can regain the ability to work deeply, but you have to treat it like a skill. You have to train it. You have to build a new relationship with time, with focus, with boredom. And here's something important I want to tell you. It's not just about being more productive. The difficulty of deep work is also a door inviting us to rediscover a higher meaning in our work. When you choose to focus, you're also choosing to be present. And presence is what gives value to everything you do. Let me give you an example. Think of a craftsman, someone who's been working wood for 50 years. Every morning he wakes up, opens his workshop, and quietly begins to carve. There's no chaos there, no urgency. It's just him, the wood, and time. And in that deep relationship with his work, something sacred happens. That's deep work. Even if there's no keyboard, even if there are no emails. When you practice deep work with respect, it almost becomes a form of active meditation. That's where you find yourself. That's where you find meaning. And you don't have to be a monk to live it. You just have to choose to resist superficiality, one day at a time. So let's pause for a moment. Breathe. Reflect. What's that one activity in your life that truly deserves your full attention? What's something that, if you worked on it with real focus, would change everything? Maybe it's a project you've been thinking about for years. Maybe it's learning something that would take your career to the next level. Maybe it's simply being more present when you talk to your child. All these things require deep work. All these things are valuable. And yes, all these things are hard. But if they're hard, it's exactly because they matter. The world won't change to let you work deeply. It's up to you to create that space, to defend it, to honor it, and to remember every day that what's rare is valuable, and what's hard is often what's worth doing. Each of us has our own rhythm, a unique way of thinking, creating, and diving into work. There's no one-size-fits-all formula to enter the state of deep work. But what Cal Newport offers in his book is a compass, 4 different philosophies, 4 distinct paths to practice deep work, each suited to different lifestyles, personalities, and callings. You don't have to force yourself to become someone else. The secret is to find the approach that fits your reality, your season of life, your responsibilities, and then protect it, nurture it, respect it. Because, you see, deep work isn't just another habit to add to your already packed schedule. It's a way of life, a priority that shapes everything else. The first philosophy is the monastic one. And as the name suggests, it's radical. It's the path of those who choose to isolate themselves almost completely from the noise of the world to dedicate themselves to an activity requiring extreme concentration. Think of a writer retreating to a cabin in the woods for 6 months, or a researcher living far from the hustle and bustle, focused solely on their investigation. This philosophy isn't for everyone. It doesn't fit well with a busy family life or a traditional office job. But it represents an ideal, a statement. It reminds us that to achieve great things, sometimes we have to subtract, cut away, let go. And even if we can't live like monks, we can learn to defend sacred spaces in our lives. Then there's the bimodal philosophy. This one is more realistic, more suited to many people. It means alternating periods of deep isolation with times of normal activity. For example, a university professor might spend the summer fully immersed in academic writing, and the rest of the year teaching, attending meetings, handling countless tasks. The key is having blocks of time long enough and protected enough to let deep thinking surface. If you have a flexible job, you might try carving out 1 day a week, or maybe a weekend a month, dedicated solely to deep work. It's like going on retreat, not to escape, but to find yourself, and to return to the world clearer, more centered, more powerful. The third philosophy is rhythmic. This one probably fits best with people who have a more stable, normal routine. The idea here is to embed deep work into your daily life, like a ritual. Every day, at the same time in the same place, you dedicate yourself to a deep task. Writing, studying, designing, solving complex problems. It doesn't matter if it's only an hour. The strength lies in repetition, in rhythm. It's like training a muscle. And when your body and mind know that every morning, from 8 to 9, is concentration time, something shifts. A kind of sacredness forms. You enter that space with respect, and little by little, your mind begins to blossom in that silence. The rhythmic philosophy is powerful because it turns deep work into a daily practice. You don't have to wait for vacation or a perfect moment that never comes. You build it, day by day, with discipline and kindness toward yourself. Finally, there's the journalistic philosophy. This one is the most flexible, but also the hardest to apply well. It means seizing every free moment to immediately enter a state of deep work. Like a journalist writing anywhere, even amid chaos, you learn to switch from distraction to focus in minutes. But beware. To practice this philosophy, you need good control over your attention. You need to know yourself well, to quickly build the right mental state. It's like a street performer playing music in the middle of traffic. It's not for beginners, but it can be useful for those with unpredictable, busy days who still want to train their focus. Now the question isn't, which philosophy is best? The real question is, which one works for you? Are you at a stage in life where you can protect whole mornings? Maybe you're a rhythmic type. Do you have the chance to create intense periods away from everything? Then the bimodal path might suit you. Do you already have a disciplined mind and can use small pockets of time well? Then maybe the journalistic approach fits you. And if you dream of a quieter, more withdrawn life, even if only for short periods, maybe the call of the monk isn't so far from your heart. The point is, it's not just about efficiency. We're talking about how you want to live your mental life. Do you want to stay on the surface, jumping from one thing to another, never leaving a true mark? Or do you want to dive in, even if only for an hour a day, into that deep river where things that last are built? Choose a path. Start walking it, with patience, with presence. And remember, there's no single right way to do deep work, but there's definitely a right way for you. Focus. Such a simple word. Yet today, it's one of the hardest things to do. Not because we can't, but because we've forgotten how. We live in a world that rewards speed, not depth. We're constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, and every notification, every message, every little interruption feels like a needle poking through our attention. By the end of the day, we feel drained, exhausted, yet we can't even say what we've actually built. But here's the good news. Focus can be trained. Cal Newport makes it clear. Deep work isn't something that just happens by chance. It's the result of intention. It's a practice, like going to the gym, like meditating, like learning to play an instrument. It's not about having free time. It's about creating a ritual, a space in your day, and in your mind, where everything else stops. Now, if you really want to train your ability to work deeply, you have to start with a fundamental principle. Focus requires intention. You can't expect to concentrate if your environment is full of distractions, if your phone buzzes every 2 minutes, if your browser has 10 tabs open. The mind, to work well, needs simplicity, order, a clear frame. Think of it like an altar. You don't fill it with random stuff. You prepare it carefully, with respect. So the first lesson for deep work is this. Prepare a ritual. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be sacred, consistent, repeated. Set a precise time. Choose a place where you know you won't be interrupted. Get rid of everything that could disturb you in advance. Phone off, notifications silenced, social media disconnected. Then decide exactly what you'll do during that time. Don't start your deep work block with a vague idea. You need to know exactly what you're going to focus on. Write chapter 3 of the book, not work on the book. Analyze the sales report, not look at some data. Clarity sharpens focus, and focus unleashes power. Another fundamental principle is duration. Be realistic. If you've never worked deeply for more than 20 minutes, don't try to do 2 hours on day 1. Start with 30 to 45-minute blocks. Then build up. Train it like a muscle. You don't start with the heaviest weight. You grow bit by bit. But even 45 minutes of real concentration, repeated consistently, can change everything. Then there's the transition. Our mind needs a bridge between noise and silence. You can't jump from a chaotic call straight into deep work without some decompression time. Newport calls this, quote, cognitive preparation. I call it respect for the sacred space of thought. Walk for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply. Tell yourself, now I'm entering my truest work. These small gestures aren't trivial. They're powerful signals you send to your brain. And don't fear the effort. Deep work is tiring, but it's a healthy kind of tired. It's the kind you feel when you've done something real, something that matters. Unlike the chaotic exhaustion from constant distractions, this tiredness nourishes you, helps you sleep better at night, helps you walk with more dignity the next day. Another crucial point is learning to manage resistance. Because even if you've created your ritual, even if you've turned everything off, even if you know what you need to do, there will be a voice in your head that says, check the email quick. See if someone wrote. Just 5 minutes on YouTube. Come on, a quick break. And that's where it all comes down to. That's where you win or lose. You don't fight that voice with anger. You recognize it and let it pass. Like meditation, you don't push away the thought. You observe it. Then you return to the breath. It's the same here. You return to the task. Again and again. And every time you do, your mind grows stronger. Your spirit centers, and you become freer. Because here's the point. Deep work is a tool of liberation. It frees you from the constant need for stimulation. It frees you from dependence on others' judgment. It reconnects you with a part of yourself that knows how to build, to create, to sit firmly in silence. And then, deep work becomes something bigger. It's not just a way to work better. It's a way to live more intensely. To say to the world, I won't just be reactive. I won't just be a pawn in someone else's schedule. I create. I choose. I think. And in that moment, you're truly present. And maybe, for a moment, even happy. There's a word today that almost scares us. A word we do everything we can to avoid. Filling every empty moment with something. That word is boredom. Think about it. Every time we get a free second, in line at the grocery store, waiting at a stoplight, even in the bathroom, what do? We pull out our phones. We scroll. We check. We tap on something, anything, just to avoid being alone with ourselves for a moment. We live in an age where the very idea of being bored is seen as failure. Like every unfilled second is a waste. But Cal Newport teaches us something very different. He tells us boredom is the fertile ground where concentration is born. If we don't know how to be bored anymore, we don't know how to think. We don't know how to be still. We don't know how to dive in. And so we become slaves to external stimuli, always chasing the next little dopamine hit without ever reaching anything deep. It's an uncomfortable truth, but a powerful one. Your mind, if constantly stimulated, loses the ability to focus because it gets used to instant gratification, used to constant switching. And when you finally try to sit down for important, deep work, your brain rebels. It wants to run away. It wants something easy. It wants to open another tab, check the mail, move on to something else. And that's when you realize the problem isn't just technical. It's spiritual. To recover the ability to do deep work, you need to retrain your mind. You have to train it with kindness, but firmness, to sit in boredom, to sit in silence, to sit with one thought at a time. Newport suggests an exercise as simple as it is powerful. Practice being bored. Don't fill every break with content. Instead, try walking for 10 minutes without your phone. No podcasts, no music, just you and your thoughts. Let your mind wander, even if at first it will be restless. Even if it tries to distract itself. Stay there. Observe. Breathe. Shafas. Vesalikiainumas. Shafas. 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 Trashtultun bihia. Shasaliki hiafas. Shafas. Shashtultun bihiafas. Hatsatan ananhanku. Shafas. Shafas. A not to run away. Another helpful exercise is productive meditation. You don't have to sit cross-legged in silence, though you can. The idea is to use moments when your body is busy, but your mind is free. For example, while walking, washing dishes, or showering, to focus on a single problem or idea. You think it through. Return to it. Look for solutions. If your mind wanders, bring it back. It's a form of cognitive training. And it's also a form of prayer if you want to see it that way. A secular prayer. A prayer to the depth of thought. And then there's an even more radical practice. Completely unplugging from all sources of stimulation. Newport calls this the social media retreat, but it's really broader. It means creating spaces in your day or week where you don't consume content but create thought. Spaces where you don't react but reflect. Where you don't receive but generate. And yes, at first, this can feel uncomfortable, even painful, because we've forgotten how to be with ourselves. But the more you resist the urge to fill every moment, the stronger your mind becomes. And then something wonderful happens. You start to feel again the flow of deep thought. Ideas emerge, insights arrive, calm returns. But the more you know when. I want you to pause for a moment now. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, when was the last time I allowed myself to be bored? Not to waste time, but to give space. Space to the mind, space to the soul, because that's where truth shows up. Not in the rush, not in the noise, but in that empty space that everyone today tries to avoid. Embracing boredom is an act of courage. It's saying, I am not a passive consumer of stimuli. I am a living consciousness that can create, that can think, that can stay. It's a return to slowness, to presence, to depth. It's not about living like a hermit. It's about consciously choosing not to be constantly entertained, about cultivating that fertile silence where ideas grow, insights break through, and the mind reorients toward what truly matters. Because in the end, it's not noise that builds anything. It's the blessed quiet of deep thought. And it's there, day after day, that a life worth living is built. We live in a world that's convinced us being constantly connected is a form of value, that our voice always has to be heard, that if you don't post, you don't exist, that if you don't see it, you don't know it, that if you don't scroll, you're out of the loop. Yet, inside us, something knows this isn't true. A quieter, deeper part tells us we're losing something. That something is our attention, our ability to be present, to choose, to truly live. In this chapter, Cal Newport isn't crusading against social media. He's not telling us to delete it all and go live in the woods. But he does throw down a challenge, an uncomfortable but necessary challenge. Are you using social media, or is social media using you? Most of us adopted it without much thought. We signed up for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn because everyone else did, because it seemed useful, because it was fun. But we never really stopped to ask ourselves, does this tool really serve my deeper goals? Does it truly improve the quality of my work, my thinking, my inner life? Newport invites us to apply a principle of utility, brutally clear in its simplicity. If a digital tool doesn't produce significant and measurable value in your life, it doesn't deserve your time. Period. And that applies to everything: an app, a website, a platform. If it doesn't help you live better, think better, create better, it's just noise. Here's a question for you, honestly. After scrolling through Instagram for 20 minutes, do you feel nourished or emptier? After spending an hour on Twitter reading news, comments, and arguments, do you feel clearer or more agitated? Every time you interrupt your work to check Facebook just for a second, are you really more informed or just more scattered? See, the problem isn't just the time you lose. The real damage is the fragmentation of your mind. Every interruption pulls you out of flow. Every distraction lowers the quality of your attention. And when you get used to thinking in bits, 30 seconds here, a minute there, it gets harder and harder to return to depth. It's like living in a constant fog where nothing is ever sharp, ever complete. Newport's proposal is simple but radical. Don't use tools out of habit. Use them intentionally. And above all, use them only if the benefit they bring clearly and concretely outweighs the cost in terms of attention and presence. That doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean disconnecting from everything. It means taking back control. Toa. It means deciding when to use these tools, why to use them, and above all, how much. For example, you might choose to use social media only in a specific time window, once a day, or once a week. Or you might decide to keep only one channel, the one that really helps you with work or relationships, and let go of the rest. And if the idea of missing out scares you, stop for a moment. Reflect. Can what really matters be lost that easily? Will the people who truly care about you stop reaching out just because you didn't post a story? Do real, deep opportunities really depend on your online visibility? Or is there something more solid, more lasting, more authentic, that grows only in silence, in focus, in patience? Newport suggests an experiment that can change your life. Completely unplug from social media for 30 days. Not as punishment, not to prove anything to anyone, but to listen to what happens inside you in that space. Watch if the urge is real or conditioned. Notice if your creativity changes, if your mood shifts, if your time expands. And then, at the end of those 30 days, ask yourself, which tools do I really want to bring back? And how do I want to use them? With what limits? With what intention? Because, see, the real point isn't to eliminate everything, it's to live intentionally. To choose tools that serve your deepest purpose. To protect your time as something sacred. Because it is, in a world that wants us more and more superficial, more reactive, more dependent, choosing to be present, to be deep, to be free, is a revolutionary act. So in the end, it's not really about social media. It's about finding your center. It's about remembering that your attention is your most precious asset. And every time you give it away, you're choosing who you become. There comes a point in life when you pause and ask yourself, all this running around, where is it really taking me? Day after day, we're caught up in commitments, demands, urgencies. But if you really look at a typical week, you realize something unsettling. Most of your time is spent on tasks that matter very little, superficial, automatic, repetitive. They keep you busy but don't move you forward. Cal Newport invites us to a deep reflection. Not everything that looks like work is work that counts. And to distinguish the essential from the trivial, he offers us an ancient, simple yet powerful principle, the 80-20th rule. This law, also known as the Pareto principle, says something fascinating. 80% of the results you get come from 20% of the activities you do. The rest? Noise. Distraction dressed up as duty. Activities that give you the illusion of progress but take you nowhere. Think about your work. Think about your day. What are the few things that truly create value, that make an impact, that make a difference in the long run? Lossable. Maybe it's just 2 or 3 things. Writing, designing, strategic thinking, solving complex problems. Those are your gems. The rest, the endless emails, pointless meetings, answering everyone, are often just sand that gets everywhere and keeps you from seeing clearly. So here's the question. Why do we let the sand take the place of the gems? The answer is simple, but hard to accept, because it's easier. It's easier to reply to an email than tackle a hard problem. It's easier to attend a meeting than be alone with your thoughts. It's easier to feel like we're doing something than have the courage to carefully choose what truly deserves our time. But if you want to live and work deeply, you have to become intolerant of superficiality, not out of rigidity, not out of pride, but out of love for what matters. Cal Newport invites us to do an exercise that can change our perspective. Take a sheet of paper. Write down all the activities that fill your week, every single one. Then ask yourself, with ruthless honesty, which of these produce real value? And again, which help me grow? Which align with my highest purpose? You'll find that many things that steal hours from you don't even deserve minutes. At this point, the discipline of time blocking comes into play. It's not just a productivity method, it's a spiritual choice. It means stopping the habit of living your day at the mercy of events. It means taking control of your time, hour by hour. It means deciding in advance how you'll use your energy. Don't leave empty margins where superficiality can sneak in. Every space has a purpose, and every purpose has its time. Yet it's not about filling every second. Time blocking isn't about doing more. It's about doing better. It's about leaving space for rest, reflection, slowness, but always with intention, because even slowness, when chosen, is depth. And then there's another essential tool, learning to say no. This is perhaps the biggest challenge. Saying no to a useless meeting, saying no to a collaboration that doesn't move you forward, saying no to a distraction disguised as urgency. Every no said consciously is a yes, said to what matters. Every refusal protects your sacred time. And you don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to feel guilty. You just need to remember that time is your most precious resource, and every minute you give to something that doesn't matter is a minute you'll never get back. Now, I'm not saying you have to live like a robot. Life is also about flexibility, relationships, light moments. But you can't build something great if your day is full of little things that don't serve any purpose. Living by the 80/20 principle means having the courage to choose. It means facing the truth. You don't have time for everything, but you have time for what truly matters. And yes, that might mean doing less. But it's a less full of meaning. A less that weighs more. A less that makes room for a more that's invisible, deep, lasting. And maybe that's exactly the point of deep work. It's not just a way to work better. It's an invitation to live with selective attention, with grace, with rootedness, to cut away the unnecessary and return to what's essential, to let go of the noise and rediscover the pure sound of thought. We're used to thinking of time as something that slips through our fingers. We watch it pass, chase after it, curse it when it never seems enough, but we rarely pause to consider a fundamental truth. Time isn't just something to manage. It needs to be protected. And when it comes to deep work, this protection becomes a form of self-respect. Cal Newport teaches us one clear thing. Deep work doesn't just happen by chance. You can't hope that one morning, magically, there will be silence, focus, and space to think. The world doesn't work that way. The world is noisy, urgent, full of interruptions. And if you don't take a stand, your most precious time, the time when you could build something meaningful, will be consumed by the 1,000 little things around you. So you have to plan, with intention, with care, with courage. But beware, we're not talking about filling your calendar to the brim. This isn't the time for blind productivity. This is the time for choice. Scheduling deep work isn't about doing more. It's about doing better. It's about carving out inviolable spaces in your day. Spaces of silence, depth, creation. Newport suggests using a tool as simple as it is powerful. Time blocking. We've met it before, but here we take it to a higher level. Not just blocks of time, but sacred blocks. Hours dedicated only to the work that matters. Hours that are untouchable. That can't be swapped. Hours you honor like an important appointment. And here's the truth. If you don't respect those blocks, no one else will do it for you. If you don't treat your deep time as sacred, the world will consume it for its own purposes, not yours. So how do you do it? First, decide ahead of time when you'll work deeply. Not when it happens, not if I have time. You have to choose, write it down, protect it. Even just 90 minutes every morning can radically change the quality of your work, but those minutes have to be locked down. They have to have walls around them. Then you need a consistent environment. You can't do deep work amid noise, notifications, and interruptions. You have to prepare your space, close your email, turn off your phone. Let those around you know that during those hours, you're not available. You're elsewhere. You're immersed. You're inside your active silence. And if you think that's impossible in your work setting, think again. Sometimes small gestures are enough to set boundaries. A sign on the door, an icon on a shared calendar, an hour a day in do not disturb mode. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. Another key to protecting deep time is building repeatable routines. The mind adapts. If every day, at the same time, in the same place, you enter a focused mode, your brain will start to respond faster. It's like flipping a switch. Over time, that space becomes your mental refuge, a place you associate with the real work, the work that comes from depth. But, like any important thing, deep work faces obstacles. And here comes another fundamental principle. Defending your deep time requires conscious no's. No to a useless meeting. No to a phone call that can wait. No to a favor that compromises your concentration. And I know this can sound harsh, but I want to be clear. Saying no to what doesn't matter is an act of love for what truly matters. Machin, watoas, you're not rejecting the world. You're simply putting things in order. You're choosing not to live at the mercy of others. You're saying, my time has value, and I'll use it to build, not just respond. Finally, I want to talk about a quality often forgotten but central to this process: kindness toward yourself. Because you won't always respect the block. You won't always be able to focus. There will be days when your mind is foggy, or circumstances won't let you isolate yourself as you'd like. And that's okay. Deep work isn't a religion of iron rules. It's a living practice, an art cultivated over time. Even just trying, even just struggling to defend your deep space, that's already a step toward awareness, and every small step leaves a mark. So start small, an hour a day, a protected block, a conscious choice, and let that choice transform you, because over time it will. Shakabasanta. It will make you clearer, more centered, more powerful, and above all, more at peace. We live in a culture that idolizes speed. Everything has to be done on the fly. Answers must be immediate. Decisions fast. Days packed full. Even our free time has to be scheduled, optimized, squeezed dry. But in this constant race to do more and more, we've forgotten one thing. Quality requires slowness. The truth is, nothing deep is born in a rush. Cal Newport, in Deep Work, doesn't put it poetically, but the message is clear. If you want to work deeply, you have to relearn how to slow down, to step out of the frenzy, to walk instead of run, because depth, creativity, clear thinking are children of slow time, not frantic multitasking. What he offers us is a form of intentional slowness. It's not laziness. It's not inefficiency. It's a deliberate choice not to chase everything, not to live reactively, but creatively. It's the courage to say, not everything has to be immediate. Some things need time to mature, to settle, to be listened to calmly. Think about the most beautiful things you've ever created. An important project, a meaningful conversation, an idea that changed your life. Did they come out of chaos or silence? confusion, or the empty space where you really got to think. Intentional slowness isn't something that's handed to you. It's something you have to choose. In a world that pushes for all at once, you choose to wait, to reflect, to build patiently, because you know true value requires time. There's a story I love. It's about a man who goes to an old Japanese tea master and asks to learn the art of the tea ceremony. The master looks at him and says, "To learn how to serve tea, first you have to learn to walk slowly to the table." The man laughs. But the master is serious, so he begins. Day after day, he trains just to walk, slowly, intentionally, until that gesture becomes a meditation, an act full of presence. What Newport is telling us is exactly this. If you want to do deep work, you have to rediscover the value of slow gestures. You can't produce excellence if you're always rushing. You can't generate strong ideas if you change context every 5 minutes. You can't be creative if you're constantly stimulated from outside. Intentional slowness gives you space to think, to reflect, to feel what's really going on inside and out. It lets you see things more clearly, choose more wisely, and perhaps most of all, it reconnects you with what truly matters. Because in speed, we lose details, we lose nuance, we lose relationships, we lose ourselves. Now, this doesn't mean doing everything slowly, but it means introducing slow spaces into your life, moments of reflection, unscheduled time, calls, even just 10 minutes a day where you sit with no immediate purpose, just to breathe, to observe, to listen to your thoughts. It's in those spaces that something rare ignites, your true intelligence, the one that's not just logical, but also intuitive, sensitive, deep. And yes, slowness is scary, because in slowness, we can't hide. When we run, we're busy, but when we stop, we have to face what's there, and yet, it's only there that change can begin. Only there can we honestly ask ourselves, am I living the right way? Am I working on what truly matters? Bringing slowness into work also means accepting that important things don't get solved in a day. A great idea needs time to mature. A book needs to be written in silence. A hard problem requires more than a morning to understand, and that waiting isn't wasted time. It's part of the process. Cal Newport invites us to live like artisans of thought. And artisans don't rush. Artisans listen to the wood, observe the material, think before cutting. There's something sacred in that slowness, something we've forgotten. Intentional slowness, in the end, isn't just a method to produce better. It's a form of love for what's being created. It's a declaration. This work deserves my time, my attention, my presence. And even more, it's a declaration to ourselves. My mind is not a machine. It's a garden. And gardens don't grow fast. When we think about the word career, we often associate it with quick climbs, titles, promotions. We see success as something to be achieved as fast as possible. But rarely do we stop to ask, on what foundation do I want to build my career? What kind of work do I want to do for the next 10, 20, 30 years? What kind of person do I want to become day by day as I create something in the world? Cal Newport offers a radical, yet profoundly sensible answer. Build your career on the ability to work deeply, not just because it will make you more productive, but because it will make you irreplaceable. And, perhaps even more importantly, it will make you more authentic. See, in a world where almost everyone is distracted, those who can produce deep, original, high-quality work stand out, not because they shout louder, not because they have a better personal brand, but because they create real value, because when they work, they leave a mark. And that's something you can't fake. You can't buy it. You can only build it with time, with discipline, with creative solitude. Newport often talks about a word that carries almost spiritual weight for me: craftsmanship, not as something outdated, but as an approach to life. Being a craftsman means wanting to do well what you do. Not quickly, not superficially, but well, with respect for the process, with attention to every detail, with love for your craft, whatever it is. So the real career, the solid one, the one that weathers crises and trends, is built in the depth of your commitment. Not in what you say you do, but in how you really do it when no one is watching, in the quality of your thoughts, in the precision of your words, in the ability to solve complex problems without shortcuts. And all of this only happens if you learn to stay inside the work, to live at the heart of the creative process, to remain there even when it's hard, even when no one applauds. A career founded on deep work is also a more stable career, because the world changes, industries change, technologies come and go, but the ability to focus, to learn quickly, to produce clear ideas and quality projects, that remains. It's like having an internal engine that doesn't depend on external conditions. So even if you lose a job, even if your role disappears, even if the market shifts, you're not lost, because you've built a core skill that makes you adaptable, strong, free. There's also another aspect, more subtle, but perhaps even more important. Deep work gives meaning to your career. It connects you to purpose. It makes you feel that you're not just working for a paycheck, but creating something of value. It lets you recognize yourself in your work. To say, this thing bears my signature. It was born from me. I built it with clean hands and an awake mind. And this has a huge impact outside work too, because when your work has meaning, your life aligns. You no longer drag yourself from Monday to Friday, waiting for the weekend to really live. You start living even during work hours, because what you do carries weight. It has beauty. It involves you. It challenges you. It shapes you. Building a career on deep work doesn't mean everything will always be perfect. There will be tough moments, challenges, criticism. But you'll have a compass. You'll have a solid foundation. You'll have the peace of mind knowing that even when others rush to look busy, you're genuinely engaged, doing the important work well. And over time, it shows. It shows in the trust you inspire, in the respect you earn, in the opportunities that seek you out, because, in the end, people recognize excellence. And excellence is always the child of deep work. So the real question isn't, how do I climb the career ladder faster? The question is, how do I build something that lasts? And the answer, now more than ever, is this: by training every day my ability to work deeply. It's not a shortcut, it's a journey, but it's a journey worth every step. We've reached the end of this journey together, a journey into a book, but also into ourselves. Daxid, because deep work isn't just a productivity theory. It's a deep invitation to rediscover the value of focus, presence, and silent thought in a world that shouts. Cal Newport, with clarity and rigor, has shown us an uncomfortable but liberating truth. Right finger. The ability to work deeply is one of the most important and rare skills of our time. Does Nussel. And precisely because it's rare, it becomes powerful. In a distracted world, those who know how to focus win, not just professionally, but humanly. The main message of this book is this: your attention is the most precious asset you have, and if you learn to protect it, sharpen it, invest it only in what truly matters, you can create something meaningful. You can build a solid career. You can rediscover the joy of thinking. You can live more fully. Newport doesn't ask you to be perfect. He doesn't ask you to retreat to a mountain. He only asks you to make space, to choose, to say no to the superficial so you can say yes to the real. Ankiralekari. And that yes changes everything. Working deeply in the end isn't just a way to become better. It's a way to come home. Inside us still lives that part capable of pure concentration, total immersion, slow and beautiful creation. We haven't lost it. We've only let it sleep. Deep work is a call to wake it up. Now, before closing this video, I want to leave you with a question. A simple but powerful question. Where in your life do you feel the need to return to the deep? Is it in your work, your creativity, your relationships, or maybe in your relationship with yourself? I invite you to leave a comment below and share your reflection. Pushpin. What struck you most about this book? Pushpin. Have you tried practicing deep work already? Pushpin. In which areas of your life do you feel the need for more silence, more focus, more truth? I'll read every word carefully, because this space is made for those who, like you, want to go beyond the surface. And who knows, maybe, through sharing with others, you'll find new ideas, fresh inspiration, or simply the reassurance that you're not alone on this journey. Thank you for walking with me through these pages, and always remember, in the noise of the modern world, the true revolution is to stop, to breathe, and to return to the deep.